Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me okay? I think we're just about ready to get started. And I wanted to begin by saying thank you for everyone who was able to join us today for the Kathy Simmons Humphreys Distinguished Lecture Series. My name is Greg Garn, and I have the proud honor of being the Dean of the Janine Rainbolt College of Education here at the University of Oklahoma. We're all here today to listen to Sister Rosemary speak, and this lecture series comes through incredible generosity. And as we begin, I'd like to recognize Kathy and Don Humphreys for being able to make this happen. Can we please recognize the Humphreys? We have some other guests in the audience tonight that I'd like to recognize, and I just have the absolute honor of working for an incredible president, President David L. Boren. Would you help me recognize him? We also have Reggie Witten and Jeff Hargraves from the Sowing Hope Foundation. Would you all please wave? I'm trying to think where we are in the group there. There we are. Also joining us today is Associate Vice President for Alumni Development, J.P. Otis. My mentor and good friend, former Dean of the College, Dean Emeritus, Joan Smith. I think we also have good friend Ed Kelly, Dean of the Gaylord College. Is Ed here? I think I saw him earlier. He maybe was in and out for a second. And then the last group that I want to recognize before we get started is just an amazing group of Board of Advocates. If you're a Board of Advocates member, would you raise your hand so we can recognize you real quickly? So the reason that we're here today is to hear just an amazing story. And I'm not exactly sure how you sum this up, the impact that Sister Rosemary has had, not just on a local community, but across the world. I don't know how you do that in a quick introduction, but I can say that since 1982, when she founded St. Monica's Vocational School for Girls in Gulu, it has helped over 1,400 girls and women to get some important skills, vocational skills, and foundational education that has turned a very difficult situation into a much more hopeful situation. In Oklahoma, she's founded the Sowing Hope Foundation with Reggie and Rochelle Witten. About 2 years ago, the Rainbolt College of Education had the honor of getting involved with this. Associate Dean Terry DeBacker was sort of the first one on the ground to go over and see what this opportunity looked like. And since then, Sally Beach, a number of graduate and undergraduate students have really taken up the call to think through how can we contribute to a brighter future for a number of folks halfway around the world. And I'll just sort of say the one constant message that everybody that has this experience brings back is they got more out of it than they felt like they provided. So whatever that experience is, they come back absolutely on fire about the opportunities that are available. We hope to continue making that available for more and more of our students. So currently, we have the pleasure of working to establish a new school for teen and adult women in Uganda. This connection with Sister Rosemary is dramatically impacting the way in which our future teachers will be able to see the world and do their work, and also the opportunity for some of our folks to study abroad. The College of Education is just one piece in a number of different groups that have been able to work with Sister Rosemary and St. Monica's, the College of Law, the College of Architecture, David Sabatini and the Water Center folks, College of Arts and Sciences, College of Medicine. We have lots of folks who have been able to kind of plug in. The one thing that I am very happy to announce is the College of Education, as an honorarium for Sister Rosemary, will be covering the cost of a full-time teacher at the girls' school for the next academic year. We really have thought about one of the things I think you'll hear from her is thinking about sustainability of this school, and this gets us a great start to be able to get there. So with no further ado, would you please help me welcome Sister Rosemary Narumbe.
I was afraid you would not see me behind this. But I think you can still see me. And I felt so excited. I didn't know I was coming back home. For me, OU is like a home. And surprisingly, there are so many people I know by name. So I was not able to sit still. I was jumping here and there to greet everybody with a lot of excitement. And also, I feel it is a great honor to have President Boren in this lecture, and Don Humphrey and Kathy Humphrey, and all people who supported this lecture. Maybe your expectation is a bit different, but today you will hear something different as well. You have been attending most of these lectures, and I think they were very academic, very special. Maybe you met great people. Today, you are meeting a short person. And I'll be struggling to make sure that you see my face. And maybe what you need to know is also that you are going to hear just ordinary stories. They are not academics. But these ordinary stories you are going to hear may turn to be academic at the same time. I'm going to speak a lot about the importance of education in Uganda, and specifically in northern Uganda, and the involvement of OU and many well-wishers in this education promotion. I think we want to start by quoting what the UN said about education. Education is not a static commodity to be considered in isolation from its ongoing process, and holds its own inherent value and human rights. So from here, we all want to agree that education is the right for everybody. Everybody has that right to access basic education. We're going to follow the rights approach to education. When I'm going to speak, you will hear a lot about northern Uganda. Northern Uganda, for many of you who have read the book Sowing Hope and also watched the movie by the same title, Sowing Hope, might be familiar to the situation which actually remained for the last 20 years. For the last 20 years, the conflict in northern Uganda deprived a lot of people of so many things, but most of all, education. And actually, for a long time, we have been addressing the need of education, which I should say has been always around skills and a kind of emergency situation where these young women, young children who were abducted by the rebels managed to escape, to come back, and their young mothers themselves with the children. And so what we have been dwelling on was accepting them and giving them that opportunity where they can rebuild their lives. And after that, we would move on to giving them some skills which can let them become supporting members to their community, but most of all, to their own children. That went on for a long time. And of course, when we talk about the rights of a human person to education, I would like you to understand that the women and children in northern Uganda are mostly deprived of so many of these rights, and especially because of the stereotype mentality in the community, where a boy is preferred to a girl. There is a chance for a boy to go ahead with education, but a girl is supposed to come home and get married. A girl is supposed to be a source of wealth in the community, in the family. And of course, most of our people carry on that and totally believe it's useless for a girl to continue with education and go very far. I should say, just getting away from the conflict and talking about culture itself, I feel one of the lucky people who managed to go on with education despite the problems I experienced in my own family. And not only me, everybody in my family got educated, and that was because of the stubbornness of my mother, who was actually not educated, but she defied my own father, who was leaning towards the mentality of the society that girls should remain home and get married. My mother protested, saying, if you don't want to send these girls to school, I will continue doing it myself. I will sell even the last clothes I have. I rather walk naked, but use the money to send my children to school. And this is because education in Uganda is to be paid for. So we struggled and managed to go to school, and my father was not able to go against my mother for that. And up to today, I should say, in my own community, my family is the only family where everybody got educated, no matter how far they went with the education, but everybody was able to see the classroom just because of the importance and struggle of a mother. That means we can all see how important it is for us to give that chance to women, because we know we are planting the seed which is going to grow and continue with the next generation as far as education is concerned. I would have never thought that this dream of educating women or further education of women would be something I would continue with, because I need to let you know that I am not a teacher. And for me, the word teaching was a great challenge in my life always. When I accepted to go to become a religious in the congregation or the Sisters of the Sacred Heart, one of the words as their charism is teaching Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And that totally threw me off. Say, I'm not going to be a teacher. I want to follow medical background. Now I am here to be a teaching sister. How is that going to be? But then, continuing with what I wanted to do, to become a religious, I decided to go further into the meaning of teaching. And I realized that I am actually a teacher. Without certificate, I am a teacher. Without the degree, I am a teacher. And so for me, being a teacher became clearer and clearer as an ongoing process in life. And also, being a teacher did not limit me to only sitting in a classroom. It meant for me teaching myself and learning from other people by listening, by looking, by asking questions. And sometimes it meant sitting in a corner, hiding myself, and copy what someone else has been doing. I think many of you will realize that much as I've not been a teacher, I have been a teacher of the girls learning how to make pop-top purses. How did I learn that? I taught myself after I learned from somebody. And for me, that is what it means to have continuation in education. And what actually touched me most has been what we have been offering to these young women who lost all their chances of education during the war and are now mothers and are faced with all the challenges in the society of how they can cope or how they can become self-supporting, self-reliant. I really got deeply touched. That has been lack of education. I realized most of these women are not able to read and write and are not able to speak English or communicate to people. But most of all, I began to see how important education would liberate these women from mental slavery, from thinking that they are incapable, from thinking that they are nobody. Education would make them feel they are human beings. Education would make them feel they have dignity. Education would make them feel they can stand on this podium themselves and not Sister Rosemary. I realized the importance of education for me was to let these women get a voice, to let these women speak their mind, to let these women tell the world exactly what they've gone through, how they have suffered, and how their suffering is leading them to the next step. I want them to speak and tell the world by themselves. And I have been so lucky, I should say again, that every time I made a request to people, I was not turned down. And from the time I met Reggie Whitten, who I must say has been a great blessing in my life, I want to thank President Boren for donating Reggie to me. I've learned that President Boren played a big role in the education of Reggie. Without knowing, Reggie would become very, very useful in all what is happening in Africa, and especially this time, in such a time as this. So thank you so much, President Boren. When I met Reggie, the story has been well narrated in the book and also in the movie. Reggie started telling me, your story needs to be told to the world. And for me, I didn't know that the world was even beyond Uganda. Reggie decided to invite me that we should come to Oklahoma. Oklahoma, the word was not easy for me to pronounce. I didn't know where it was in my geography. And I didn't know, actually Reggie used to say he had no connection with Africa. I had no connection with Oklahoma. I didn't know it. And so when Reggie brought me, the first person I want to say Reggie took me to was Dr. Dan O'Donoghue in OU, Faculty of Medicine. Dan, let people see you. And Reggie had been telling me he had already gone to Dan, I think, once or twice, and he never succeeded to get him to understand why he was going there. And when I went, my message is not difficult. I don't go into discussion as a lawyer. Reggie is a lawyer, an advocate, a big person. My discussion is simple. Can you come to Uganda? And when I said that to Dr. Dan, I don't know the response he gave me, but after a few months, he prepared himself to come to Uganda. That is how it worked. And again, it never stopped there. When I had an opportunity to come again with Reggie to the Faculty of Education, because we were knocking at the doors of all the faculties in OU, I met Dr. Sally Beach. There she is. And Dr. Sally Beach gave me a very ambiguous question. She said, what can we do to help you? And I decided to respond by giving her a question. I told her, I asked the question, can you come and start for me a school? She also thought that was very ambiguous. I wanted to answer the way she asked me. And so it was a bit overwhelming for her, but at the same time, she took it up. While she was thinking about that, I did not stop at that. In every speech I was making, I was talking about promoting education or taking education of these women to the next level through basic learning, adult literacy. And it happened that in one of the conferences of women leadership, Women in the World Conference, I mentioned that we are going to start adult education with the OU Faculty of Education. So everybody knew about it. So when I told them that I mentioned that already in a big conference, it put them on pressure. And so that pressure did not just remain pressure they could sit on. They had to move out. They had to start something. And of course, one great thing they have done was to move to Uganda to see exactly what they can do. And that answered exactly the question of Sally, what can we do? Of course, I repeat, I'm not a teacher and I could not describe exactly what I wanted to be done in the field of education. All I was emphasizing on was the promotion of these women, liberating them, giving them education which can make them become contributing factors in the society, especially to the economy. And so that went a long way, that the Faculty of Education took many people, and they've already been going 3 times in a year, which is quite amazing. And there's so many things which have been done. They developed the curriculum, which is really just exactly about what is done in Uganda for children and for women at the same time. And one thing about this has been the great involvement of student teachers and professors in Uganda with us, and they have been also promoting our own teachers, giving them that confidence that they mean a lot in the education system of these women. So in a way, while they are developing curriculum for young adults, they are also teaching our teachers to run the whole thing. So thank you so much, Faculty of Education. And you can see all these approaches have been great because even the Faculty of Medicine has been deeply involved, not only in St. Monica, but they have gone out to Gulu University, teaching in Gulu University and working at the same time. Sometimes I take them on crazy trips, take them out. You go to see exactly what it means to treat people in those rural areas. I take them very close to Congo border, just not to scare you, President Boren. It's safe. It's really safe to take people and expose them to these situations. And what I've got, the feedback I always get is that these students learn and they fall in love and want to go back. So I hope nothing will stop them. President Boren, we agree on that. Thank you. So I want all of you to really know about how the conflict in northern Uganda affected negatively the learning and education of these young adults. That's why we are focusing so much on basic education. It is true that Uganda's system of education is well developed, but when I say Uganda system, just separate between Uganda, northern Uganda, and southern Uganda, and western Uganda. This system, which is well developed, which is functioning properly, is more developed in southern Uganda and western Uganda, where there was no war for the last 20 years. And northern Uganda must follow the same system of education, and they remain disadvantaged. Young women, young boys remain disadvantaged because we must sit the same examinations with people who are in well-established education system and who have got prepared teachers, proper classrooms, and so forth. When Uganda actually agreed to start universal primary education, which is actually one of the, maybe the second point of the Millennium Development Goals, universal primary education, which was supposed to be achieved by 2015. I don't know if somebody can tell me if it has been achieved. Uganda joined and started in 2007 the universal primary education. That means education which is not paid for. But the challenges of universal primary education is that so many children are supposed to be in one classroom. So one teacher is going to address the need of education of 100 children. And not only that, these people, these young people must be given uniforms and must be promoted even if they fail. So that means there's no question of failure. And of course, this posed a big challenge in that we risked to get a class difference of semi-literate and literate at the same time. After primary 7, when the universal primary education ends, you find a lot of these young people, again, are not literate because it's not possible to really address the need of 100 children on a one-on-one basis. And as a result, we just ended nowhere with that. There's been a struggle to promote the universal secondary education. I don't know if it has been practiced anywhere in Uganda, but I have not noticed that because up to now, primary education and secondary education all must be paid for. And so, how can a community, a society recovering from the effect of war, the effect of poverty posed by war, how can they pay for their education? And when they cannot pay for education, they are forced to attend this universal primary education with no quality. What is the quality of that education they're receiving? And this is where the OU Faculty of Education came so handy because they came in to address this need, but also preparing our teachers who are actually the products of this very system. These are the teachers who also got trained as teachers during the conflict, and so they themselves do not have that quality education themselves. So it's like a vicious cycle of poverty and a vicious cycle of everything. That's where the Faculty of Education came in very handy for this, and I really hope this will go a long way. I know their coming gave me a lot of strength and more energy to keep on dreaming. And actually, I told Dr. Sally that I'm already dreaming of starting a primary school. And actually, I was so tempted to start the primary school this year because I've seen the quality of the curriculum they have developed, which addresses both need of mother and child. It is a support education. A mother can support the child, and the child can also support the mother. So that temptation, I was almost starting it this year, but still let me give it time and come to discuss a little more. Because what I am trying to do is really also to look at how sustainable are my thoughts going to be, how sustainable are our projects going to be, and of course, that dream of sustainability is going to be a long-term song I have to sing in the ears of everybody. How are you going to help me to be sustainable? You made me to dream, so how sustainable will my dreams be? And I'm not going to stop dreaming, but how sustainable will that be? This is a thought I will leave with everybody, and especially all you, because you have been the lead in the coalition. You have been the lead in even inspiring other colleges, other universities to come. I understand today there are other colleges also here, and I'm very pleased to see that they're here. And if they don't get involved with us, I will ask OU to steal the good ones to come to OU. Don't be afraid, steal them for the sake of Sister Rosemary. You will not be called a thief. I will be very happy to see so many people getting involved in what we are starting, because I've never claimed that I would ever do it alone and I would succeed. My success remains on all of you. You are my success. When I just imagine years back how we knocked the doors of different people, it was like planting just very, very small seeds. And now I can see the seeds are growing into big trees. I can see Dr. Dan telling me, I want to go to Uganda next week. This is very, very exciting for me to hear. I can see many students want to go to Uganda, and I really hope you want to go. Don't be frightened about what I mentioned about the conflict, about the war, about taking you to the border of Congo and South Sudan. Take it that you need to come. You need to join us in this struggle of promoting the lives of people, of making a small difference. And definitely, we are not going to start with big things. I still recall the small seed. And I'm sure if all of us are united, we can do it. I told people in the National Prayer Breakfast when I was speaking, it's getting a bit difficult to come to the United States, but I hope it will improve. It will not be very difficult. But if it continues to become difficult, I will challenge the Americans to come to Africa. You come to Uganda. Africa is a continent which is small, but it will receive everybody. And I also told them, I said, you see, we have food we can give you, and we have cows, we can give you milk. So that is really to encourage you that we need to work together, we need to unite to address something which is very, very urgent. For me, it is urgent to address the need of women and children, change their lives, and education is the greatest priority right now. Education in different fields. You will wonder, what is the next dream of Sister Rosemary? Yes, I keep on dreaming. My next dream is starting agriculture college, but still, remember, I am not a teacher. That means I'm throwing it back to the experts of agriculture, teachers of agriculture. Please help me how to do it. After all, we want to start a simple rural college of agriculture in order to address the need of sustainability, in order to address the need of food security, in order to teach people how they can value the importance of agriculture education. All these are the dreams I'm living with you, because I cannot really go deep in them, and I'm sure you are well prepared. There are different faculties which can go deeper into this and make it a dream which we can realize. Make it something which we all can say, we did something to change the life of somebody, not the lives of too many people. Let us start with a few people. And I'm sure together with you all, we can do it. I want to thank everyone who came today, and it is so overwhelming to see how so many people have come to this lecture. Wish you thought it was an academic lecture, but it's not. It is a kind of discussion of friends. I was telling someone before coming here, I said, we could actually start this lecture by dancing or singing. That is what it is. We need to have some difference. You've been going through so many of these academic lectures, but this evening, it is not about that. It is about turning the simple stories into academics. Thank you so much.
Okay, I think we've got some time for some questions. So I've got a mobile microphone here, and I'll maybe pick on Emily and see if we can kind of move around. But if you've got a question, we will find you with the microphone, and we can go ahead and start.
one down here.
Sister Rosemary, thank you for being here. It's such an honor to listen to your words and to learn about the needs of your students. And I have students too. I'm a teacher at a private school here in Norman, grades K through 6. And my question is, how can our students help you?
That goes back to the same question of Dr. Sally Beach. You want me to say something? Can they come on board? Can you come on board? That is all. I'll be very happy to see them coming. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi. For those discerning religious life as a possible vocation, what would be your piece of advice as to how you knew this was going to be kind of what drove you, what was going to be the best fulfillment of your vocation?
I don't know if I got the question all. She's a bit far. Did I get
Do you want me? I can say it again. Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Okay, so for those discerning what their vocation would be within Catholicism, within holy orders, how would you say you knew that your vocation was best? How did you know this is what you wanted to do with your life, that your vocation was to be a sister?
Sorry, I can't get your question. I'm sorry. Oh, that's so funny. You know, I know why I can't get that question. I'm trying to avoid it a little bit. Because that question is going to bring out a bit of my weakness. I got a call, just like any other person would have that call. But I didn't know where that call would lead me. It was more of a childlike call that I was a babysitter to my nieces and nephews. And for me, I love staying with children very much. And I am the 7th of 8 in the family. I was actually so loved. It was not easy to get out and move to do something else. But at the same time, I heard about sisters who came from southern Sudan as refugees, and they were supporting orphans, children, vulnerable children. That really appealed a lot to me, and it touched me that I got my vocation from there. I said, I need to join these nuns and support the vulnerable children. But it was all about my involvement with children. You see, what I want to avoid, they bring out. I joined when I was 15 years old, and I tried my best to hide my age. I didn't know that it was going to be a problem anyway. And I took my first vow when I was 19, and I was not supposed to have done that. But I hid my age. I didn't tell the superior. And later on, the superior called me when she realized that I was underage. She said, Rosemary, do you know that you are not supposed to have taken the vows because you are underage? And I told her, I've taken it already, and it's okay. So I was trying to avoid that little lie.
My question is, Sister Rosemary, is there a time of year or like a month where you need volunteers more than other? Do you always have people coming in the summer? Like what month or time of year are you the most in need of people?
If it were in my own power, I would want to have volunteers throughout, and even long-term and short-term volunteers. I know there are some of you, this one girl here, Stephanie, she was as a volunteer for 1 year. 5 months, that was quite long, and it was great. I would like people who can have time, if it's possible, 5 months to more than 5 months, because they provide the continuity and also encouragement to their friends that they can spend longer time.
Sister Rosemary, thank you for everything. I was just a question about one example because we are, well, I've not read the book, sorry about that, but I will read the book. So, but since we are here, I was wondering about any specific example that you remember. Maybe you saw maybe one big change, because we talk about the change for some people through your school, maybe for the students or students' children, or anything very we want to remember with you. So do you know any story or example that we want to remember with you?
Yeah, there are simple things really need to see. And for me, what the great example or the smallest example I can tell you is working with someone who totally lost dignity and was deeply traumatized, and eventually she recovered. She got her dignity and is walking again like a normal human person, one who never believed in herself. I have experience with some of those girls. And then the example I just gave you of the girl I brought to the National Prayer Breakfast was a great example of that effort of education. Because this girl actually stopped only in class 4. And she was struggling with speaking, and I kept on telling her, look at the people and know that they love you. They are not caring about how perfect you can speak English. They're only caring how far you have gone with your education and where you stopped. And that's all what they know. Please speak to them, because I am trying to let people know our struggle is to give you education which should liberate you psychologically and give you a voice. I have been speaking on your behalf, but I would like you to represent your friends and speak. And this girl kept on. And whenever she was stopping, I told her, when you don't remember a word, just smile to the crowd. They will be happy, they will understand you. And that girl did so well. She stood in front of so many people, like 2,000 people at the Congressional Prayer Breakfast. I stood near her. When they gave me the microphone, I gave it back to her, and she did. She spoke. And for me, that is a great example of what we have started with education, which is liberating and giving a voice.
Hello, Sister Rosemary. Thank you for coming to OU, and I have 2 questions for you. The first is, for the women who come into your school, on average, how long do they stay at St. Monica's? And second, when they leave St. Monica's, what are they doing now after they leave your program?
Yes, I get that question every now and then, that people would like to know how long we let these women stay with us. Actually, my response is always the same. We do not give them a limit of time. We let them first feel they are coming not to the school, but to a family where they can be accepted, where they can be loved, where they can be helped to love their own children. And so that gives us the opportunity of letting them to decide when they want to move out. And I gave an example of one girl who has been with us from 2004 up to now. She is not the same. She is working as the leader of the others. She's a matron in the school. And this is the girl I brought to National Prayer Breakfast from 2004. So when these girls really accept they want to go out, we allow them to go. And of course, my word is to them, make sure you value what you've learned. Make sure you get married to the skills you have learned. This will be very helpful for you. And of course, we give them that opportunity that they must know we are going to be there as a point of reference for them in case they want to come back anytime they are accepted. And actually, to tell you the truth, when we launched the education program with the OU Faculty of Education, I was moved to tears when I saw 70 women who registered. Most of them were my old students. I was so touched, and I was moved to tears of joy. So that means they still accept that we remain a point of reference for them. And of course, when they go out there, we encourage them also to take up their small skills and make it useful, and they find their own trade, but still we remain to support them.
Sister, sorry. Okay. Sister, I had the opportunity to visit the Atiak campus with you as well as the Gulu campus. Could you speak a little bit about your different goals for the different schools that you run?
What did I didn't get. Oh yeah, the Antioch school is, I should say, is quite progressive in that it's what we are replicating exactly what worked in St. Monica in Gulu to that community in Atiak, the community which suffered a lot. There was a lot of massacre, a lot of loss of lives, and a lot of people there lost their chances of education as well. And actually, they were longing to bring us many people to study in St. Monica in Gulu. And I looked at the whole thing as moving them away from their route and struggling to get money to come to Gulu and so forth. When I was invited to see how many girls we could bring to Gulu, it occurred to me that there were so many, and I did not know who to choose and who to leave. So I decided, I told them clearly, instead of you coming to us in Gulu, we are going to move here in Atiak and start a school here. And so we started this school in Atiak to support them. And up to now, I can tell you, the school is struggling with so many things. First of all, letting these young people understand that that school is very, very important for them and encouraging them to come with their children at the same time. But more, and on top of this, in Atiak, we have started an orphanage, and I call it Sowing Hope Children's Village. And you will not believe, in 1 month, when I opened one house, I got 15 children in that orphanage. This orphanage is supporting not only children from Uganda, there are children from Southern Sudan. One time I got 3 children who were brought from Southern Sudan. These are children who come as refugees in Uganda unaccompanied. So I found Atiak School is very, very strategic in supporting also the need in Southern Sudan and the people in Atiak itself.
Sister, welcome back. Mr. Dave Sabatini here. And Dr. Love, it's great to have you back in Oklahoma. And you're a blessing to us when you come here, but we're also blessed by students that come from Africa to OU to study. And we're very fortunate to have United World College Davis Scholars, and there's one here from South Sudan.
Oh, good.
And a few rows in front is one from Uganda.
Good.
And these are some of our best and brightest students here at OU.
Good.
And I've had the opportunity to have them in class, and they inspire me as you do. And my question is, would you have word for them, having come from Africa to OU to study, would you have words of wisdom for them, how they should take advantage of the opportunity they have to study here?
I know it may not be just wisdom, just one thing though. I used to be on a panel of interviewers for international scholarship. And they told me later that I was one of the toughest person. I didn't know that. They told me, when you go in that panel, there's that sister. She will look at you directly. She has tough questions. And my questions were few. What do you hope to bring back if you achieve to get this scholarship and you go out to study? And are you prepared to come back to impart the knowledge in your community? This is exactly what I would tell these ones from Uganda and from South Sudan. When you're here, you first have to think you are lucky and thank God for that. But your luck must be a bridge. A bridge can lead you forward and backward. And that means you are here in order to go back and give a change in your community, in that society. I'm very grateful and thank God that you're here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth, and I'm with Odyssey Leadership Academy. And at our school, we talk a lot about virtue. So I was wondering, what is your definition of virtue?
What can I say about virtue? Virtue is going to be very difficult to describe, just like hope. How would you describe hope? I think virtue is part of you. It is who you are and what you can bring out. That is my only simple definition of virtue, because if you don't have virtue, then you are not existing. The little virtue you have is exactly what you need to give out and what you need to reflect. That's all I can tell you.
Over here, Sister Rosemary.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much for your visit and inspiring speech. I'm Kyung-ah. I'm faculty at OU Tulsa, and I'm here to see you speaking. You talked about, you briefly talked about the importance of supporting parents for children's education, and what are some of the biggest challenges and needs of for parents in raising their young kids, like infants and toddlers and babies? Because I will definitely try hard to go visit, your community. But I want to think about what I can do to help as an expert in parenting and child development in general. So.
I think the most important thing is to help these parents to let their children know the value of education. I was telling you right from the beginning that I got the value of education from my parents, even though they were not educated, because my mother was able to stand up for the rights of girls in her own traditional way. She stood up and said they must study, because the future of everything is going to be education, and I will never forget that. So these parents need to be supported. They need to be helped to go beyond all the challenges they face. I know a lot of parents in Uganda face the challenges, first of all, of paying for their children to go to school. But apart from that, they themselves need to have that knowledge where they can sit together and encourage their children that this is the importance, this is what you need to do. Because if they don't encourage their children are not going to take that. I actually went to school when I already knew a little bit about what it means to study. I was telling people before that out of the 7 brothers and sisters I have, they used to speak English because they were educated, and I had not yet gone to school. And they were, of course, backbiting my parents when they were to talk about their boyfriends and girlfriends. I started picking everything. So I began to go to and forth to report them. I would tell everything I had. Their plans of going out, I would tell. So one of my elder sisters told me, say, Rosemary, you are telephone without wire. I will never forget that. And I had to struggle to understand telephone without wire that time. I had to understand what it is. But that tells you exactly how education actually starts from the family. That is why it's very important to support these parents.
Hello, Sister Rosemary. I'm Mariah Gunn, also with Odyssey Leadership Academy. And I just had 2 questions for you. How many times have you been in Oklahoma? And how do you think, and second, how do you think we as people can share compassion just in our everyday lives to each other?
I don't even remember how many times I've been in Oklahoma, but for me it is a second home in the United States. When I am coming to America, they always ask us to write an address, and my address is Oklahoma. When they ask me, do you have a telephone number? I say, yeah, it is +1 405 315. So, does that qualify me to be an Okie? I've come many times, and for me, Oklahoma has been a great support. Oklahoma has put me on their shoulders to let me shine. Oklahoma has been exactly like that ceiling with so many dynamo holding that light to shine down. That's what Oklahomans have done to me. If I didn't meet Reggie Whitten, I would not have known exactly what Oklahoma and where it is. And it has become my home. Maybe Oklahoma is a small state. I don't know how small you are. That is very significant with where I come from. I come like from in the middle of nowhere. That is good for me. And I'm very happy to be here. And what is the second question?
My second question was, how can we show compassion through our everyday lives to each other just here in Oklahoma?
You know, that's a very good question because you may be thinking, all what Sister Rosemary is talking is all about Africa. It has to start here. What I am talking about may be right in this community, and you may be ignoring it. And if you give a cold shoulder to what is happening in your community, you are not going to be able to extend and go out and look at what is happening in other places. Start by being kind, compassionate, and supporting people right here. I am sure everywhere they are needy people, they are vulnerable people. And of course, if you start here, that will help you to go out and be more compassionate to people outside there. I think young people, you are very, very dynamic. Don't miss any opportunity of supporting anybody vulnerable in this community, because it's the only thing which will make you look way across and do something to change somebody's life. But if you have never tried it here, you will not pretend to do it somewhere. So start from here. Thank you.
All right, I think we've got time for one more question.
Sister Rosemary, my name's Diana, and I teach fundraising here at the University of Oklahoma. So we would be remiss if we left here today without asking this question. How can we send money to you to help with the great work that you are doing in Uganda?
Pros for Africa. That is why it's there, that you can see. These have been a great support to me in all ways. This has been for me a bridge connecting me with the United States and especially Oklahoma. And of course, a lot of things, a lot of positive things have been done in Oklahoma, and hopefully it will continue. Because if I talk about sustainability, which is going to be my song, it's all about the people in Oklahoma. How can they help me to become more sustainable, even in my dreams? Thank you.
All right. Just a couple final announcements before we release for today. But what an inspiring Humphreys lecture. One more time, can we thank Sister Rosemary? Thank you.